Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Nghĩ gì nói đó podcast, episode number 4. About Nghĩ gì nói đó, the podcast is founded with the aim of sharing and discussing different topics from different perspectives. Each week will be a new topic and a special guest who I believe to have hands-on experience in the given matter. My name is Ha, and today I'm gonna take over Thuy's position to be your host today. And also at the studio, we have Hieu Nguyễn, who has been missing for 2 episodes. Hieu, what are you up to recently?
I've been running my deadlines recently. Nothing news from the last 2 weeks, so yeah. Okay.
So, as you can see, today our podcast is a little bit different. It's gonna be totally in English. But don't worry, if you are watching this on YouTube, you can click on the CC button to see both Vietnamese and English subtitles. Also, the podcast is available on SoundCloud and Spotify, so give it a try, guys. Anyway, today we have a really amazing guest at the studio. Say hi to everyone,
Hi everyone.
Son. Yes, our guest is Trung Son. Son is currently a computer science freshman in Canada, Vancouver, right?
I am.
He is one of the most active members in Film Photography Club, also the former president of Hùng Vương Speech and Debate Society, which is a debate club in Hùng Vương High School. To me, Son is really an influential figure. He brought the United Nations model into Gia Lai under the name HV Moon, and successfully attracted many talented people to join this experience, including me. He also inspired a lot of people to get the courage and do the things they want. So I really respect him. And also, you might wonder where Thuy is, why she is not the host of the podcast today. Well, because Thuy is going to be our guest speaker since she is currently studying abroad in Sydney, Australia, and she has a lot of amazing things she wants to share with you. To know more about our special guest today, Son, can you officially introduce yourself and tell everyone what you're up to right now?
Hi everyone. As Ha has introduced you guys, I am Son, and currently I'm pursuing a bachelor's degree in computer science at SFU in Vancouver, BC, which is in Canada. I'm actually really surprised to be invited to this very special podcast because I never considered myself to be an influencer. but but I'm really glad to be here and share my experience with you.
Thank you, Son. And Thuy, we all know you as our host, but do not deeply know about you. So can you tell our beloved audience more about yourself?
Hi guys. You guys obviously know me through the previous. So today I will officially introduce myself. My name is Nhu Thuy. I'm currently studying abroad in Sydney, Australia. My major is event management. Yeah, that's it.
And how did you guys know each other since high school, right?
It's actually really funny because when I first met Thuy, I didn't consider her to be as friendly a person as she is, and she was and still is.
Yes.
I actually don't remember how we knew each other, but I definitely remember that we bonded over this English competition in the 10th grade, and I've been loving our relationship ever since.
So, Thuy, what was your first impression about Son?
I still remember that when I go to Australia to study, Son is the only one that see me at the airport. And later on that day, Son also flies to Canada.
Yay!
Really? So,
Yeah.
so transfer to Canada from Australia, right?
No. He just see me at the airport.
Like
in Ho Chi Minh City.
Yeah. Which is why I really appreciate. Yeah.
Hieu, do you have any impression about Son and Thuy, like the first impression?
Well, uh, it's like both of them.
Mm-hmm.
My impressions about both of them are, obviously they're English. It's like when I started my high school, my English was not as good as I am today. So it's like I looked them up as a role model for me to
Uh-huh.
improve my English. I guess the impressions that everyone has about them is the same as mine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like their English and like they participated in the English competitions for the whole 3 years during high school. In grade 10, English competitions, grade 11, English competitions, and grade 12, again, English competitions. Like their high schools are attached with English competitions. So that's obviously the thing that uh, people are impressed about Thuy and Sung.
Mm.
To be more specific, Sung, he's kind of like, he's quite open to me. We could be such good friends, because he's so open and he could, yeah,
Yeah.
he's always welcome new things, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really impressed me.
Mm-hmm.
And for Thuy, she's quite, she's quite a good boss, as I can say. Uh, like I've been working with her for a long time, and I can guarantee that she's a really good boss. So you guys out there, for the audience that's listening, if you are currently doing any project, in any organizations, you can contact me for being your boss, and I can guarantee that your work will be completely finished
New
if you
job for
have her
Thuy.
as your boss. Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
before you get to the main subjects today, I really wonder what is the COVID-19 pandemic in Canada and Australia right now. Can you tell us more about the situation?
BC has actually
Mm-hmm.
been doing a super great job at containing the pandemic. Um, as
Mm-hmm.
many people say, BC has successfully flattened the cases, which means that
Mm-hmm.
daily new cases are being flattened. In the first few
Mm-hmm.
days, it was like 87, 46, and 92. Now it's around 20 and 19 and 15. Yeah, so
Oh,
we're doing really
that's
Mm-hmm.
really
great,
cool.
and hospitals are
Yeah.
still under capacity, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm.
we're still under lockdown though, and I heard that Vietnam is opening up the country again, which is good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, that's a great improvement. So please, what is the COVID pandemic in Australia?
Well, to talk about Sydney in specific, Sydney is by far having the most cases out
Oof.
of Australia,
Mm.
and the new cases are lowering day by day. Yesterday, I think there are only 4 new
Oh.
cases,
Mm.
and people are more relaxed to go out to hang out. And when I walk to the supermarket or like in the stores, there's still a lot of people.
Oh.
And I think that sometimes, the last 2 weeks, I kind of feel a little bit
Oh.
depressed because I don't dare to go out and I'm stuck in my room with the 4 walls. So I sometimes feel like down in the dumps. But recently I try to go out and see the nature. And yesterday I walked to my neighborhood, and I see some houses actually putting up signs that say really positive things. I saw one sign, they say, COVID-19, this too shall pass. Yeah.
Mm.
And another
Yeah.
sign they put up is dawn comes after the darkness.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when I
That's
see
great.
that sign, I
That's
was
great to
like,
hear.
oh yeah, there at least some positivity around us. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and to continue the
Oh, that,
positivity coming from the COVID-19 pandemic, here I have also been experiencing the same thing with Thuy. I have not severe, but kind of mild depression for a few days because I've been stuck at home for a few days. But people say
Mm-hmm.
that nature is the best remedy for depression, and I think that is the truth.
True.
Because not only do I get fresh air, I also see all kinds of encouragement and positive messages that people have been
Mm-hmm.
written for
Yeah.
nurses and doctors. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
here around 7 p.m., people have been banging their pots for around a minute to encourage nurses and doctors to keep up and carry on. And we've been really appreciate, and they've been really appreciated, and it kind of shows who truly is important in our society.
Well, for you guys to be updated, in Vietnam, for 7 days, there are no more any cases who are positively with the virus. So I think in the next 2 weeks we will be out again, and there will be no more quarantine, I hope.
There's one more thing I want to add is that um, in those days where I feel a bit depressed, I actually find the happiness in um, doing this podcast. Yeah,
Yay!
yeah.
Yay!
I
Yay!
saved an album of people complimenting this podcast. Like they sent
Ah, that's
some,
Oh,
nice.
that's so
yeah, they
sweet.
sent some thankful words. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you encouraged me, like that, which is I really, really appreciate. So if this podcast is useful to you, you can comment or send me a message. I really appreciate it.
Yes, and
That's so
also
sweet.
there is a girl who sent me a message that this podcast really motivates her a lot to pursue their dream of being a musician, and I'm really happy for
Oh,
her. Yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so let's move on to the
All
first
right.
topic, studying abroad.
Yay.
Okay, so as you guys know, that Son is right now studying abroad in Canada, Vancouver, and Thuy is studying in Sydney. So why did you guys decide to study abroad, and why do you want to study computer science?
Initially, the reason why I chose the option of studying abroad is that I would have the chance to avoid the national exams. You know, the thing that have been giving people
Well,
anxiety.
I know you.
typical
Yeah.
reason.
And I'm sure that many international students are like me, Um, but
Yes.
the more I think about it, my reasons are a bit subconscious. First of all, it comes
Mm-hmm.
from my inner self to explore the world. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Vietnam is a very, very interesting country, but I want to spread my wings and I want to go out to the world and
Mm-hmm.
see what the world is like, right? And I think that
Wow.
studying abroad
Yeah.
truly gives me an immersive experience about the world, especially in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Mm-hmm.
being able to live in such a diverse community, it really opens my
Mm-hmm.
eyes about
Yeah.
the world's culture. Because here,
Mm-hmm.
not I get to experience Indian, Chinese, Thai culture, and in such an
Mm-hmm.
authentic way that I could not ever experience in Vietnam. Because we're such a homogeneous population, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And why computer science? Why did you choose to study that?
it's my dream job ever since I was like a third grader, you know.
Oh.
um, but like the more I think about my choice, the more I'm encouraged because I see that the world around us is being changed by
Mm.
technology, and like I want to
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
be
Yes.
the
Yes. That's
forefront of
totally
this
correct.
race. and I want to contribute
Yes.
something, at least something, to this very exciting change and very new chapter of humanity. Like, can you just imagine, like 13 years ago, the first iPhone was released, and now everyone has a smartphone.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what would happen in just like
Yeah.
20 years, right?
Yeah. Well, it is clearly that the COVID-19, we we use our phones and our laptops
Yeah,
to study
yeah.
like a lot.
And can you
Yeah.
can you even imagine COVID-19 being spread like in the 1950s? I'm sure that the world would plunge down to such a great recession. And yeah,
Yeah.
technology is a saving grace for this pandemic, and it's actually helped authorities and nurses and doctors combat COVID-19 in such an effective way, because like you can have access to the number of cases and where they are in a matter of seconds. Like, just imagine, like in the
Yes.
1970s, we could never do this, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Thuy, I know that you are major in event management, right?
Yeah.
So, how did you manage to study abroad, and why you chose this field?
Actually, if you asked me 2 years ago whether I'm gonna study abroad or not, my answer is hell no. I was like, studying in Vietnam is fine. Like it costs a lot of money to go abroad, and so why bother like that? But
Yeah.
but then only 1 year ago that I did change my mind, because I realized that it's the fear of uncertainty that strings me back. So I don't dare to pursue what I really want to do. So
Well, it's just like an excuse, right?
yeah, it's like an excuse. Yeah. So I made up my mind and chose to study abroad. Yes, for some reasons, as Sun say, like I am young, I have the energy, I can explore the world and learn something new. Yeah. So the reason why I chose event management, because I love managing. As Hieu said, I'm a good boss. Yeah, I love
Yes.
managing
Yes.
people.
She
Yeah.
is.
And why events? Because I think event is what bring people together. Every event serves a purpose, like for entertainment, for learning, for creating network. So I believe creating an event is really exciting, as you have many opportunities to expose to something new every day. Yeah.
Well, it might be difficult for you guys when first moved to another countries, right? So, how did you manage to get over the culture shock, and how can you get along well with each other and make friends with them?
Funny you asked that, because the thing is that I did not have any kind of culture shock at all. Like zero.
Wow, that's great to hear.
Because he has been living Western culture with his in
Wow.
Vietnam. His lifestyle is in Western
He's already
time.
prepared for it.
Yeah. So I guess I'm
He's
an anomaly
like
here.
he's yeah.
Well, good point.
He has prepared for us like years. Yeah.
So I really don't have the authority to talk about this, but I guess for those who are studying abroad and are experiencing some kind of culture shock, my best advice for you is to first find some consolation by just talking to your friends back home, and just immerse yourself to your own culture first, and then when you find yourself less stressed, you should go outside and experience the culture, because as Thuy said, we're always fearful of the things that we do not know of, right? So the best weapon for it is to actually know the culture and know how the people here works. And after that, I'm sure that you guys will, I won't say love it. For me, I loved it, but I'm sure that you guys would get through this and you guys would survive.
Yeah.
So how about you, Thuy?
I don't know if this is counted as culture shock or not, but I think I'm, on the third day arriving in Australia. The first 2 days I came out and I explored the city a bit, and then on the third day I was laying on the bed, and suddenly it hit me, like I feel completely empty, like like all the questions just suddenly appeared. What am I doing here? Why I have to travel so far to study? Why I just don't just stay at Vietnam and study like my friends? Like, what am I doing here? Like, I believe Son is also same as me. No friends, no relatives, right?
Yeah.
So
Actually, I did experience that, but not in 3 days, but like 2 months in. Like, you have to understand that the first month being here, it was very stressful for me because there are lots of things to take care of, not only academic, but also like daily necessity, like rent, banking, and mobile plans. Everything in that first month had been keeping me busy. But after all of that, when I'm truly free, I sit down and think myself, God damn, I am so lonely right now. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That is
Well,
exactly what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that loneliness isn't necessary to be abroad.
I think so too.
It the time when I left our hometown, which is Yalai, it's like I immediately felt that I was so lonely in Ho Chi Minh City, in such a big city. It doesn't have to be a new country or a new continent. It just has to be a new environment.
Okay.
So yeah, I feel you.
agree.
I do feel you.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yay.
high five, virtual high five. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So back to that moment. When I lay on the bed, I burst into tears. Like I cry a lot, like for hours, and I just fall into the abyss of doubt and worry that what happens next, what is gonna be like in the future. Yeah, so I decided to call my sister to seek some advice, and she said, "Don't worry. In the next few days, you're gonna meet some friends in the new school. You're gonna get used to everything. Like everything's gonna be okay at the end." Yeah, so it actually reassured me, and I realized that there is no right or wrong choice in the first place. Every choice comes with its own beauty and sacrifices that you have to make. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what
that's so
are
true.
your situations right now? Do you get along well with others?
I fancy Australia.
Oh my
God.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, I love it here. I love
That's
it
really
a
great
lot.
to hear.
So my advice for those who are in culture shock, I think first you need to research the place you're gonna live in very well, and also be open-minded. Every country has its own good and bad, so don't expect everything's gonna be perfect as you imagine. Just accept it and get along with it.
Yeah, and this is and is not related to culture shock, but if you're experiencing culture shock, and you're in like Australia or Canada or even the States, depending on the state that you're living in America, right? Because the environment here is so diverse. Here in Vancouver, like 30+% of population is Asian, right? So there would definitely be a sizable Vietnamese community. So if you experience a culture shock, I would suggest you to, well, first of all, go to a Vietnamese place and then talk with them and share experience and, vent about the new place that you've gone to, because sometimes venting does help. Yeah, and that tip also applies for homesickness, and especially for these days. Though I'm not able to go out and eat Vietnamese food. I've been cooking a lot, and trust me, it's all Vietnamese food.
Well, I see that you guys are really fancy your country right now. So what is the best thing you like about your country? So what is the best thing in Canada?
It's very cliche to say this with the people. You know,
Yeah.
nice, eh? Stuff like that. Yeah. But
So it's like every single Canadian friends that I have, they always start their conversations with buddy. Hey buddy, what you doing?
Sounds like best friend for a long time.
Yeah. Well, for the first time when I heard buddy, I felt very, very close to the person that I am speaking to. That person's in front of me is really makes me feel like I am comfortable to talk with him. So yeah, Canadians people are really nice guys.
I should talk about the buddy thing first. It's not a very prevalent thing here. Maybe from the Eastern Canada part.
I'm here to debate.
But yeah, Canadians are super friendly. I received so many kindness and humility just from my roommate right there. Who's up here? Yeah. She has been helping me settling into Canada, and she's actually in many events like Christmas or Thanksgiving to make sure that I'm not homesick in these times.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
It has tremendously helped me a lot, both socially and academically. And that's the one thing that I like about Canada. If you ask me about Vancouver or British Columbia, though, I would gladly talk more about my experience here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how about in Australia? What is the best thing to experience?
In Australia, I think it's pretty similar to Canada in the way that both countries have a lot of immigrants and are diverse in the backgrounds. Yeah. So the thing I like here most is that the peacefulness. Like there's lots of nature, which is really suits my personality. Like I really want to. There's a lot of beaches, a lot of forests. Like I can chill anytime.
And this thing that everybody is talking about Australia, like a snake, the land of snakes, spiders, and weird animals. So can you?
The animals?
Yeah. So have you experienced anything about these creatures, like snakes or
frogs
spiders?
in the bathroom?
No.
From the toilet.
Even the python.
Okay, let me confirm this. So far from my experience, I have not encountered any weird animals yet so far. I think only in the countryside area or not in the big cities, we'll have a lot of those kinds of animals. But I heard stories. I heard stories of people that they have. I heard stories of people that there's a long centipede creeping into their bedroom, and they still live with it.
Oh my god!
It's like normal. Yeah, I heard stories, but
That's
so far
horrible.
have not
Oh my God, I got
encountered.
shivers right
Mate,
there.
Okay, so
You.
here is the
mate, that's
rule in
horrible to hear.
Australia. You have to live with it, like
Because
completely
everywhere around
immerse
you
in
is
nature.
animals.
Yeah, and the second thing here, and the second thing I
Mm.
like here is
Mhm.
people are so open-minded, like because of the diversity.
Yes.
You may heard a lot of stories about racism, but yeah, so far I've not met anyone's racist. I think the racist people are the ones that traveling from other countries, but the local
Yeah, yeah.
here, they are really educated and open-minded to the differences.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people are so nice as well.
Yeah, and
Well, I heard from a friend who is right now studying in New Zealand, and he shares with me that the story that the people, the white students there, they like racist him
Really?
because he is yellow. Yeah, he is Asian. So I don't know that there is anything difference between New Zealand and Sydney or something like that.
Yeah, actually New Zealand and Australia are really close friends. Like the two countries are really
Yeah.
close in geography and also
Mm.
close in the relationships between the leaders. And but the racism, I think it exists everywhere.
Depends.
Like
Oh.
Yes.
yeah,
Even in
yeah,
Vietnam.
even in Vietnam, even we are in the same country, even we are in the same province, racism exists in one form or
yeah,
another.
and xenophobia
Yeah,
is
talking about racism.
xenophobia
Yeah.
is a human trait, right? As much as we want to eliminate it, it's still there.
Yes.
And you know, I'm still not convinced that all of the weak Kiwis are racist. Like there's some bad apples, right? And like, yeah, yeah. So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
for me, I wouldn't say that all Kiwis are racist, but some of the Kiwis are racist.
Well, talking about racism, how about it in Canada? Have you experienced anything about racism?
Well, I would like to talk about acceptance. Actually, I much like Thuy, I have not experienced any kind, shape, or form of racism, and actually, diversity is very much celebrated here. Um, not only ethnicity, but also gender and sexuality.
Yeah, for those who
Marriage.
don't know, Canada
Okay.
is among one of the first countries to legalize same-sex marriage.
And
yeah.
and discriminate and Canada is really progressive when it comes to transgender rights too. In 2016, they just passed a bill um, to prohibit discrimination against transgender people, which is among the first nation to adapt it nationwide. Which I'm really proud to
Yeah.
live here actually. And like if I was just walk a block away, there would be a pride flag down on the street and be flying across buildings. I actually feel really happy to
Oh,
live in such an inclusive place.
Have you guys heard about the term global citizenship?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been hearing about that since entering high school. It's like it's everywhere.
I think since I came across that term, I really like it because it promotes the thinking that you should explore more and be more open-minded to the differences in culture. And actually, in my global citizenship class, there was one assignment that just state 3 things that you value from your own country's perspective. So I have the class has lots of friends in Australia, in Spain, in Japan, and I noticed there's one common trait among the Aussies, the Australians, and can you guys guess what?
Okay, so they are so independent from the very early age,
True.
right?
Oh, I got that that's the exact word that I want to talk. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Great guess. Yeah, that's the exact same word that appears in every 3 traits of Aussies. That independence. So I recognize that from the early age, people here are really independent. Like they work for a living since like high school or even younger. Like they don't depend on the money from their family, and they are really independent in thinking that they have to take care of themselves and live for their own. Yeah, so that's what I really like in, and I think we could adopt and learn from the Australians. Yeah, because
great.
you know, in Vietnam, the country is influenced by Confucius beliefs, Khổng Tử. Yeah.
Yes.
So we value collectivism, and everyone just live for their family and think about the group, the whole thing.
True.
Yeah, but not live for themselves. So you can see that many children just rely on their parents to make decisions a lot in their life.
Yeah.
So so through
that's
this,
really
I
true.
really want to encourage everyone to be more independent. And be more confident in make your own choices.
I agree.
Yes.
Son, is there something you want to add?
Not too much. I fully agree with your thinking. But I think that there should like what you're talking about is like a dichotomy between like collectivism and independence. But like I think it should be towards the middle, which is what everyone is heading towards. Just try to live on yourself and try to make your own money and also have your own independent thought, but also try to think of others and try to help others when they're in need, stuff like that.
Well, I think the word independence can be expressed by different views. Like you can earn your own money, or maybe you just can cook your own meal, or like wash your own clothes, like that. It doesn't have to be like find a job and earn your own money. Yeah.
It's just
I think
simple.
so because
I guess like the most important thing in the independence, is to be independent in thinking.
That's true.
What I talk about.
It's like I really hate people like thinking for myself. I am the one who think for myself. You are not the one who have my thoughts.
True.
So I am the one who make decisions. Not you are the one who make my decisions. So, until recent years, I have happened to think those things. But before that, every single thoughts that I had was all about what other people think I should do, what other people think about me. Right now, I don't care, and I'm teaching my brother as well because from he's in his early convalescence age. So it's I happen to know that this age is really sensitive to the thoughts of people about him. So I'm teaching him about thinking for himself, like individualism, but in a good way, not in a positive negative way. It's like thinking for yourself. Maybe not thinking about your career path, but thinking about what he wants first, and thinking about what he's really likes, and think about what he will become with this mindset. Yeah. So, okay, again,
I agree.
individualism is good, but yeah, we have to keep it to keep it in a positive way,
true.
I
not
agree.
in negative way. Yeah.
Like there is a really small difference between self-love
Yeah.
and selfish, so you guys must
Is
Yes,
that
yes,
yeah,
yes.
like distinguish
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
between
a
them.
fine line?
And for those audience who are listening, I have like maybe two questions for you to consider after this
Mhm.
podcast. The first question is that ask yourself, uh, how have you been thinking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
yourself? Uh, the second question is that what would you do if you are an independent person?
I see that you guys learn very amazing lessons from studying abroad in your country. So I'm really curious. How can you granted your scholarship? How did you prepare for it? Like, so first, can you share with us some tips to grant a scholarship to
Well,
study abroad?
you guys have to know that I actually had a previous scholarship in the States. It's actually a lot more sizable than the ones that I have right now. So there are two actually. The first one is in Illinois, and it is in a school called Knox College. They would give me around $45,000 per year to pursue my secondary education there. But I actually declined and went to Canada instead because although I had a much smaller scholarship, my cost of living and my tuition fees are actually cheaper here. Yeah. So getting that out of the way. Um. My my best advice for you is to increase your GPA. Um, um, Believe me, only by 0.5 would make a significant difference to your scholarship. Um, for me, I I have to admit I was not a very hard worker. Now I'm a little better. Um, so my GPA was hovering around 3. My GPA was
It's good to
hovering around
hear.
3.0 to 3.5. And there's this specific scholarship that I would have gotten if I had like a 3.7 GPA, but instead I got declined because my GPA was 0.2 lower than the requirement. Had I met the requirement, I would have gotten myself like $30,000 per year. Getting that out of the way again. My second advice for you is do a lot of extracurricular activities, like try volunteering, try joining up clubs, try creating clubs. Um, there are lots of ways for you to interact with the world and help others, but also help yourself in pursuing a good education pursuing a good and affordable education here. Yeah, so that's my literally 2 cents.
And Thuy, you were granted 2 scholarships, which worth like $15,000. And can you share us like your experience?
I have to say on the first hand that anyone looking for scholarships in Australia is really hard. Like even 50%. Yeah, I think 50% is like the best they could give. And actually, my scholarship compared to the tuition fees here is not much. But how I prepare for this scholarship, I think I have made a clear goal for myself that what steps I need to take in to get the scholarship. Just as Son said, you focus on extracurricular activities, on your studying. So so that you head towards your goal. And actually, in Australia, the scholarship usually, from my experience, has 3 rounds. The first round is application. The second round is you're doing an essay. And the third round is the one that decide you get it or not. Is the interview round. In the interview round is the most important one. So my tips for the interview is just be yourself. My sister tells me that Australia really value the talented. So just be yourself, just express who you are. They can see the potential within you. And if you want to know more, know clearly, just send me a message. I will be glad to help you in the interview round.
Yeah, and I know that Fulbright University is like an international university in Vietnam, like you're studying abroad in your own country. And Hieu has just granted the scholarship to be a part of this community. And can you share with us some of your experience to get into this university?
Okay, so I'm gonna tell a little bit about the application process to get in Fulbright. So the process, the Fulbright's process is quite different from other like abroad university, even in America, Canada. So we have 3 rounds. The first round is application round, which you will do your documents like GPA, extracurriculums, and even the essays in this application round. So the second round is the individual interview. So after you submitted your applications, the admission team will consider your documents and they will decide whether you could get into the interview or not. So in the individual interview, you have to like elaborate more of yourself in the applications. Actually, I see the applications is quite, sufficient process to tell who you are, what you want, what's your dream is. And so the second round is to elaborate more about yourself in the first round. So the third round is group interview. So group interviews is actually to assess how you work with other in a team, how you discuss with them. Is this in a forceful way or in a constructive way? So again, 3 round application, individual interview, and
teamwork,
group interview. Yeah, and so my advice for you guys, if you want to apply to Fulbright, not only to Fulbright but in U.S. Schools or Canadian school or even Australian schools, my advice is that you have to find the value of what you have done, what you are doing, and what you will do. The values is that the values can come from even small actions, just like helping people, like helping your parents. So you can say the values that I see that my parents have been working very hard for me to pay my tuition fee. So when I help my parents, I can see how hard they have been working for me. So I have the responsibility to do something for them. That's the value that you can think of in just one small action. So again, no matter what you can do, no matter what you did, you have to find the value of your activities. so that you can find the value of yourself, the person that you want to be. Yeah.
Well, enough of winning scholarship. I will tell you guys about the story of me failing scholarship. Well, like 3 of you guys win the scholarship to study abroad, right? But I failed scholarship to study in.
No, I'm studying
Yeah.
Vietnam.
Abroad.
Yeah, but like I failed the scholarship to study in Japan. Like in the first year of university, I wanted to study in Japan because I want to see what's the world out there. I want to be in Vietnam,
Right.
like that. So I tried to apply for the Toyo University, and yes, I really prepared really well and carefully for the first round application form, and I passed successfully. But then in the second round, the interview round, like Thuy said, I wish I knew this advice soon. But in that round, like I tried to be another person. I tried to be a person who read a lot of books. Why I'm not. And I tried to be a person who like have a really great social skills, like talking to others. But like at that time, I think that I didn't know really well about myself. So I failed. I felt really hard, and it hurts me like for months, like that. I think that maybe I'm not good enough. I'm just really bad. I cannot even get a scholarship to study abroad, like that, and I feel really down, deep down from myself. But then I realized that maybe they are not seeking for the best people. They're seeking for the most appropriate people, and I'm not suitable for that school, for that like curriculum. So so I took time down for a while, calm down, and think more by myself. And I think that maybe they are right for not choosing me. Because
It's all right.
because really like
It's all right.
like when I think back about myself, I'm not really suitable for that like curriculum in Toyo University, and maybe not appropriate for studying in Japan. Yeah, maybe I'm more appropriate studying in Vietnam. And I think that's good. That's good. That's really good, because right now I'm in a very good community, like foreign trade university. My friends are really good. My teachers are great, and everybody is really like helpful. They help me a lot. Yeah, and right now.
It's good to hear that you have found yourself in a right community.
Don't worry if you fail scholarship or you cannot study abroad, because Vietnam is great too. It's more about yourself.
And for audience out there, one last advice: don't be the best versions of someone else. Be the best versions of yourself.
And try every to upgrade yourself.
And your story actually reminds me of the question I received in my scholarship interview. That is, if you don't receive the scholarship, what would you do? And I just say,
that's always the worst questions and the most difficult questions to answer. I guarantee.
Well, I think that it is really mean. Like the interviewer is really mean when they ask that question.
I think it's fine. Like they want to see if this person is willing to accept failure or not. I think so.
Like test your commitment.
Anyway, I replied them that if one door is closed, the other door still opens. I still look for opportunities elsewhere.
And I agree. If you fail this, just keep calm and carry on. All is not lost, right? There will be numerous opportunities for you to try new things, and who knows, right? Life is full of surprises, and yes, today you cannot go to the States, but tomorrow, like you can go to Canada and you can have a banger times here. So when
Yeah.
this also applies to everything.
Yeah.
When you fail at something that you wanted to achieve, be sad. Yes, do it, but don't be discouraged. Be
Yeah.
discouraged about
Cry.
your
Go cry.
failure. Yeah,
It's like I
yeah,
always tell my friends that it's okay to be sad when you felt something. That's
I agree.
that's
I agree.
that's a natural emotions of
Yeah,
everybody.
true.
That's a natural reactions. It's okay to sad, but the point is you have to get better. You have to tell yourself that you must be better after this sadness. You cannot be sad anymore. Life is long. You cannot live with sadness
Like,
anymore.
but
So
back then when
yeah,
I failed the scholarship, like I was really stupid. Like I didn't show my real feelings to others. When Thuy or Hieu came and asked me, that they really asked me whether I got the scholarship or not. I was like, yeah, I failed, but it's okay, I'm fine. Like I try to hide my feeling inside. But then but right now I think that was the most stupid thing I ever did. Like why was not I be sad that time? Because like that's my feeling. Why I didn't respect my feelings.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
so be sad.
It's good. It's good to hear that you are not that stupid anymore.
That's great.
So
That's why Son creates Hong Sad.
yeah.
Oh, buồn buồn.
Hồng Vương buồn.
Oh
For those
God.
who cannot understand.
For those who are sad.
Come and
Okay,
join
so
the
cool.
community.
Yes.
Okay, so do you guys ever think about going back to Vietnam for a job in the
That's
future?
an interesting
So,
question. I'm leaning towards to no. Due to many reasons. One of which I cannot tell you, but it's like the most essential for me. But
mhm,
there's simply more opportunities here for me to develop my own thing that I'm proud of, and to advance my career, and also to live in a diverse place like Vancouver. I know it's a bit selfish for me. But right now I'm leaning towards no. Um, yeah.
Okay, so how about you, Thuy? Are you intending to go back to Vietnam?
I don't know. Like there's lots of stages in my life thinking I would study further in this country, that country, and yeah, lots of different plans in my mind. But my heart still belongs to Vietnam. So who knows? Who
That's
knows?
weird.
I don't know. Maybe I plan to study further, but I just think that maybe at that time I'm sick of learning. I don't want to learn anymore. So I will be back for some work. I think, yeah, the future will tell.
Also, so you mean that your
You
final
know that
destination will
when you go
always be
abroad,
Vietnam, right?
Maybe.
It's heartwarming to know where your home's still there. Even if Thuy is in Australia, Sơn is in Canada, they still have Canada. They still have the destinations called home in Vietnam. So
Yeah.
That's really great. Back time when I was one of the debater about this topic, and I think that whether you are in this world, you can really contribute to your hometown, like bring fame to Vietnam,
And
like that. So I hope Son and Thuy, whether you are Yeah, wherever you are, you can bring
Yeah,
some
yeah.
fame to your
And
friends
and
and
again,
family back here in
I think that it
Vietnam.
yeah,
brings some
I
brings
would
some
like to
pride,
remind everyone
to be
that
exact.
things are
True.
indefinite, right? You know, you guys, we all have this very long-term plan, and but like things can change even overnight or just by 1 second, right? Like our plan
True.
changed because of circumstances and the decisions that um we in the past thought was okay turned out not to. So again,
Mm-hmm.
even though
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaning towards staying here, it doesn't mean that I won't be back. Yeah.
This is this might be the question after our beloved audience after they watching this episode. Like, any tips for speaking English? Like, you guys speak English really well, and any tips
For
for
me,
our audience?
I feel that everyone
Oh,
is
yes. So first.
everyone does have the ability to speak English very fluently, but they just don't practice. There are many
Mm-hmm.
reasons, you know. One of the most prominent one is because they're scared that they're gonna fail, right? And my best advice for everyone is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. True.
try your best to to get through that fear and practice English with your friends, you know, because everyone will have this fear of
Mm-hmm.
trying
Mm-hmm.
something new, and it's totally understandable. We humans are not keen on new things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, English is a language.
Mm.
It's not sciences. It's humanity, and like to truly to truly learn English in a
True.
very effective way, and to have the ability to speak English
Mm-hmm.
fluently, you must practice. You must speak to friends, to families, even. And I see that many people just keep dismissing English as a very difficult subject, but you guys have to understand that English is a very peculiar subject. You cannot learn via notebooks or via teachers if you don't practice by yourself. Like
True.
I swear I never would have been at this good at English had I not practiced. That's practice. Why we good? Why are we good at things? Because we practice, right? And over time we build our skills and we become good at it, right? That's why we specialize things. That is the only single way that you can be good at English because it's a language. You know, to be good at language, like or any language, you know,
Yeah, I do agree.
Dutch, French,
Mm.
Saxia,
Spanish.
um,
Yeah.
prac- yeah, Spanish, like every language, Vietnamese,
Yeah.
right? You must practice or else
Mhm.
you won't be good at it. That's it.
Mhm.
That's the
And Thuy, how do you can improve your English speaking skill?
I agree with Son in the way that we need to practice. Even it just means that you can just
yeah.
talk to yourself, talk to the mirror, or it's even better to talk with your friends. And I also think it's really also important to have someone to correct your pronunciation, to show your mistakes, so that you will not repeat it and take it for granted. So actually, Hugh here is
Yeah,
a really great example for
definitely.
zero to hero. Like,
Yeah.
now he speaks really fluently English, and there's a time that I am the
Yes.
IELTS speaking examiner for Hill. And I also love doing that for many young friends in Yalai. So if you hear
Examiner.
this podcast, you can contact me. I can be your free IELTS speaking examiner because because I've been through the test and I know the technique, so yeah, I can correct you.
Big
Okay, so
examiner,
Thuy from big box to scholarship advisor.
Yeah, because
And right now, IELTS speaking
Good.
examiner.
because I love doing that
Yeah.
because I see,
Contact Thuy for everything you need.
And another tip, maybe for specific tips for speaking English, I think you should watch more YouTube videos in English or watch movies.
Sure.
And just copy them, copy their accent, copy the way they talk, and you gradually realize that somehow I have the intonation like them.
Don't be afraid of accents. Don't be afraid that you will speak as good as an American or British or Canadian. Yeah, just don't be afraid about all of those things, because English is a very diverse language. It's okay to have accents. Yeah, as long as you can communicate with others very clearly and they understand you, by the end of the day, that's it. That's all that matters, right? Transmitting information. That's all that matters.
True.
You really don't care about accents unless you really don't need to care about accents. The only thing you really need to care about is that you make people understand what you are trying to say. That's it.
True.
I want to explain further on this because when I actually study abroad, be in an environment that there's a lot of people from different walks of life, the only thing that matters is that you speak and they understand. There's lots of different accents, like Indian.
That's
I hate that
racist.
one. Like Japanese. The thing here is that we use English as a tool to communicate
Right.
to transmit ideas. That's it.
And more important, like the native speaker, they really don't care the grammar you speak.
True.
They really don't. Like you just express the idea that they can understand.
Use your body language.
I'm really and I'm really curious that Hieu, can you share with us your journey from a dummy to a native speaker right now?
The first and foremost tips is working hard. Learning about something is not learning about something requires time, which is your effort. So you must put a lot of your effort in learning it. The second is, as we said before, watch a lot of YouTube video in English, even movies in English, so that we can know the intonations, the native intonation, the up and down in the voice, how we pronounce it in a native way. And the third tips is be yourself. Even though you have a different accent from other people, like your friends speak in Indian English, Chinese English, but you have Vietnamese English, that's okay. The point of learning English is to communicate. I don't believe with the thought that of learning English to be our mother tongue. No. Learning another language beside our mother tongue is to communicate with other people from international background. So it's okay if you do not have English accent or the British accent. You have to have your accent. That's the point. Be yourself in everything.
I have one more tip to add. So I realized that for a long while I do this thing that I speak and I record to hear back my voice. And somehow, even though I'm okay with my pronunciation, I somehow not really satisfied with my voice. So after a while,
Hmm.
I figure out the reason is that normally in general,
Yes.
Vietnamese have really high pitched tone
Yes.
in the way we speak. In the way we speak.
Like my
Yeah,
tongue.
true.
It's
So,
really high.
yeah,
Like.
so that's why I always feel uncomfortable when listening back to my recordings. So I have this tip for you guys when speak English. Try to lower your voice.
So it's like
Try to be a man.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you will feel your English
so can you give
speaking
them
starts
an
to get more
example
natural.
in high pitch voice and
Yes.
in low pitch voice?
And
We have an example here. Ha, you have high pitch. Yeah.
This is not strictly related to speaking English, but more like studying English. I see that most of my friends here study English in a very academic way. So one thing that I would heavily suggest you to do is, well, Thuy has already suggested Thuy has already suggested you to watch English videos on YouTube, but I also suggest you guys to go on Reddit, which is this internet forum, and they talk about every single thing you can find. I swear to God, I can talk about tricycles, I can talk about games, I can talk about LGBT, I can talk about studying abroad. You know, every single topic that you can think of, they have already discussed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the site is reddit.com, and give it a try. And there are lots of memes and hundreds and thousands of millions of comments. So
I think Son will really be relate to me in this point that we have to study for Olympic April 30.
30
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, and yeah, and you guys know that period is like the most stressful throughout my high school years because we have to study tons of idioms that I think we never use.
Yeah,
Right now we never use.
swear to God, I never use a single one of those idioms that I've learned in the lecture that we've been getting, and it's not that it's technical,
True.
but it's a jargon that nobody uses.
So you can you imagine the feeling that we have to cram a
That's
lot
horrible.
of idioms, collocations that is not useful in learning English at all. Yeah, in just like weeks, months.
Forget about it.
And then we just like the more you remember those useless words, the higher prize you get.
And then you forget all about it. All of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys might have this one situation when speaking English. Try to speaking English with your friends. Like people will like back in my high school time, I was like speaking English a lot with one friend of mine, and people like look at us, and they were like this. Oh my gosh, stop being so show off, bitches. Like that. Like they
impress them.
They said that we were trying to show off by speaking English, but actually we just speak English for practicing, and for some reason I don't know, but I don't know, like others could not understand what we were talking. And what do you guys think about this situation when people like said that you guys are trying to show off?
I realized that
okay.
the reason why people react in such an aggressive way is the difference in the context of culture. It's like in Vietnam, people more like think of a foreign language as a subject. For example, English, French, Spanish. People think it more like of a subject. Whenever you speak something in a different language, people will think that it's a way for you to show off your excellence in that subject, not thinking about it's just a way for you to communicate using that language. Yeah, you know what I mean. But in different culture, it's like in Western culture, people do not see it as a subject. People see it as a language. So language is for communicating. So in Finland, for example, if you communicate in English, that's okay. People will not say anything about it. If you communicate in Finnish, that's okay too. So yeah, I think the reason why people react like that, like in your situations, is in the culture. So to improve that, we have to. I'm not trying to. For audience, I'm not trying to fix your mindset, but if you take a chance to reconsider English as a communication tool, you will, overcome your fear, overcome your any barriers from stopping you speaking English, so that you can speak English in more natural way. Yeah. So that's my opinion.
Okay. My opinion is I don't think that the culture plays a role in this, but I think it's just human nature.
True.
Yeah. Because again, human is always fearful of new things and new and strange things, right? And like it's a natural instinct for us to be scared of it. For people that say people who look at us speaking English uh, and they think that we're show off and they are a little bit angry towards us. I think that is totally natural. Think of it this way. Um, the reason why that you speak like another language in a Western country, um, and people don't get as angry as here, is that many Western countries are very diverse, and there are many populations that speak the language, and people kind of get familiarized with those languages, even though you just hear it on the street, right? Whereas in Vietnam, our population is very homogeneous, which is like only Vietnamese live in Vietnam.
Yeah.
A sizable majority lives who lives in Vietnam are Vietnamese, right? And
Yeah.
so it is that's the reason why, because we our population is not diverse enough for people to accept a foreign language as like a natural normal thing. The solution here is just keep trying. Don't be afraid of others judging you. And if they're friendly enough, I don't know, invite them over and speak English. Teach them a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually how I do it in Canada. My roommate has been listening to me speaking Vietnamese with my and he's actually super curious of how our language are so weird. And he's been having banger, learning Vietnamese.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Or if they're not friendly, just ignore them. But be careful for your safety, all right? Because some people don't. Some people are really violent if they don't get things that they want. So, be careful. That's all. Don't restrict yourself to speaking Vietnamese because people think that you're a show off. All right? Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
And Thuy, what do you think about this situation?
I'm not talking about the reasons anymore. I'm talking about the solution here. I think just don't give an F about them.
Yeah.
True.
You just get ahead, just practice, just do what we feel like. And why they are still behind and looking up to us for speaking so advanced English, we already go really far without English.
True.
Yeah.
True. Because I have experienced this kind of situations back in high school. So I will share with you what we were dealing with those people who are talking about us, like show off people. We just didn't give an F like we said. Yeah, because we
Why
knew
bother?
we knew our good. We knew that when we keep speaking English like that, like in day life like that, we can improve our English speaking skills a lot, like really a lot. And that person who was speaking English with me back then, he is now studying abroad in Singapore. Yeah.
Yay.
And and those people who were saying that we were trying to show off, their English speaking skill is not really worth. Like, like you just know yourself, be yourself, and
Yeah,
really
yourself.
don't give a care what other people were saying about you, because you are doing a good things for yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, why bother?
And this is very unrelated to speaking to the topic that we're talking about. But one healthy thing for everyone to do is to not compare yourself to others.
True.
That's really important for you because first of all, everyone's situations are different, and we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and we all have our weak points and our high points. So it's very unhealthy for you to compare yourself to like this very authoritative figure and feel bad about yourself just because he's the same age as me, and he's so much better than you and than I am. Don't ever think yourself that, but like try to improve yourself the best way you can, and try to learn the way that he's been doing to improve yourself. But please don't ever compare yourself to others because it truly is very unhealthy and it's very unproductive.
I partly disagree with Sung in this matter. It's like comparing to others is peer effect in a broader definitions. So peer effects, I have to say, is good, but it's also have bad things. If you compare yourself to other, you are pressured by peer effect. When you compare yourself, you only see the bad thing in yourself. That's a negative thing. But when you compare yourself to the others and you see the good thing in yourself, it's like when I saw Sung in high school that his English was really good at that time, and I looked at myself and I said to myself that I have to improve my English so that my English can be that good. That's how my English right now can be that good because of peer effect, and in broader term, our societies is ran by peer effect. In business, for example, when you are doing a business in baking and others are doing business in baking, what if the others are making good cakes than yours? You have to improve yourself, right? To so that your case can be like that good, even better. That's the peer effect. So to develop peer effects is one of the most important thing. But the point here is that you have to see the good point in yourself, not
I
the
agree.
bad
I
point in
agree.
yourself.
Like I'm talking about like two people in the same class and doing the same things, right? and it's not a very like what I'm talking about here is very specific. Like basically just don't obsessively compare yourself to other classmates.
Yeah.
But try to learn what they've been doing and to improve your situations. And if you fail doing that, don't worry, be happy, and yeah, you fail, but you can succeed and you can try again. You can try again and you can succeed, right? Yeah.
Okay, so your advice is also the end of topic 1, studying abroad. And
Yeah.
Nghĩ gì nói đó podcast will be right back in a second. Okay, so welcome back everyone. And now we are ready to move on to topic 2, spreading influence. Okay, so the first question comes to my mind when talking about this topic is, have you guys ever been influenced by someone, and how did that person motivate you? Son first, please share your experience with us.
A lot of people have motivated me trying new things. Can you speak about this first, Thuy? Because I still don't have a definitive question for it.
Okay.
Answer, sorry.
Yeah, I think that the one that motivates me, like, they come in different phases of my life. Yeah, but mostly all of them are older than me and like big sisters. Yeah, and actually there is one that motivates me to study abroad, and I tell you that she will be one of our upcoming guest speakers in the near future.
Yay!
Yeah. Ooh, guess who?
Chico.
Yeah, and they influence me in the way that they help me to pursue what I fear. They help me to take the courage, and they show me many possibilities right in front of my eyes that I haven't known yet. Yeah, so I really appreciate them to come into my life, and I think the motivating moment occurs through discussion like this one. So that's why I create this podcast, to bring more discussions to everyone. So somehow you can find some inspiring moments somewhere in this podcast. Yeah.
And I think through conversation is one way to influence others.
True.
And also there is one more way, through your actions, through your projects like that. And I know that Song, I have been friends with you for a while, and I know that you have brought Moon, as known as Mother United Nations, to Yalai, a small province. So can you tell more about how you came up with that idea and the process to like influence about others to join the community?
Well, initially, it actually came from summer 2017. I was visiting Hanoi to attend an MUN. It's actually one of the biggest one. Dare I say the biggest? It's called VYMUN, VYMUN, Vietnam Youth Mother UN, and seeing that everyone is so passionate about their chosen countries, and they're so good at researching and defending their countries. Like I feel like because this activities covers everything that is necessary for you to develop your soft skills, like researching, debating, persuading. Because it's not only about researching and debating. A significant part of a Mother UN is to have diplomacy, is to persuade others to follow your cause. And for me, that's what really attracted me to Mother UNs. And I was actually really sad to see that there's no such activity, either debate or MUN, in our community. And Yalai and Taiwan region in general. And that's why I asked my dear friend here, Thuy, and Wang, Phương, and Nhi, and Hoài, and many others, and Wang um, to create a club about this. And I say, yeah, and I really had much fun with them, and I really learned a lot from them. Yeah.
Okay, so talking about MUN, I know that Thuy also has some personal projects like this podcast. And what is the purpose behind these projects? And do you expect them to have good influence on others people on the first hand?
Okay, firstly, most of the ideas of my personal projects just came out of the blue. Like, I just do it for fun and don't think that it would spread like coronavirus or
Too soon.
but somehow when I think that maybe this could help others, maybe someone will need it, I think what I'm doing is helpful. So I think I can make it more professional and more serious so that it can reach out the mass and maybe impact some aspects of life out there. And about personal projects, I will talk about it in later episodes.
Okay.
I will talk more about some projects that I did in high school. Firstly, I think it comes from the desire to create values for the community. I think it always starts with the thinking that what if we could bring this and help other people in the community to experience this. I think that's also the same thinking of Son, right?
Yeah.
So in my grade 12, I was the president of the music club, and I have the chance to conduct some small events like the workshop for those learning guitar, or a dancing competition for those like dancing like me. And it's really fun. Like, you can bring something and make people feel like, wow, I don't know this kind of activity exists. Yeah. And I know that is the problem in our province in general, that they are lacking too many fun activities or clubs. When I research about the summer camp or model United Nations model like that, I ask people around me and they know nothing about it. Why I search in other provinces, it already exists like a decade ago. Like, people already joined in those activities. Yeah, and that's really surprised me. And I think like, oh, why shouldn't we be the one creating it? Why shouldn't be the one that bring it to the community? Yeah, so that everyone will have more chances to explore something new. That if that event does not exist, like, no one would have the chance and no one will have the opportunity to grow. Yeah.
And so, do you have the same like purpose like Thuy when you spread influence to other youngsters?
I definitely do have the same wish, because again, like Thuy said, when I asked about Model no one in my community, except for my close circle, know about the activities, and it actually kind of made me sad to see that us being a very new and young generation, and we still haven't had the exposure to this wonderful experience, and we still haven't stepped outside of our circle, and we still haven't promoted individual thinking, right? And that's why we brought Homo Speech and Debate Society into existence. We want people to have a space to debate and to do research and to persuade others to their cause. And we want to develop individual independent thinking um, of our generation. And I think that that's one that's actually the biggest reason why we created the club. And I would say that we in part did succeed our mission statement. Yeah.
Well, talking about these two people's influence on others, well, I would like to share my story back then.
Yay.
I felt really lucky when I was like your friends like that, because in high school I was really like shy and not really sociable girl. Yeah, back then. You can confirm that. like a nerd. And like the chance to join HV Moon was the biggest chance in my life.
Oh, I'm glad.
It contributes a lot to who I am right now. Like when I join HV Moon, I get to know about others, get to know more about how this word like originates, and there are a lot of people with interesting views, like Lê Anh Bình.
Oh my god! Shout out to Lin.
Yeah, and Duy Hieu too. It was really great, and I really appreciate your chance you guys gave me to like improve myself. Yeah.
No,
So
I'm really
you
glad.
guys really create good influence on others, and I wish that I could be another person who can bring good influence on others like you guys did too. So I am trying my best right now to like doing my best, share my experience through conversation to others. Somehow I can change like shy and not sociable other girls like me back then to be me right now.
And you know what? I think you're doing it right now with this podcast. I've
Thank you.
actually learned a lot from you from the past two podcasts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's great that we learn from each other.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, and I must say that I and Thuy are really glad to see that our club made some difference to our people here.
Yeah, even small.
Yeah.
To all the youngsters out there, I think all the projects just come from one idea and the courage to do it. Like
true.
I have a friend that's saying to me when the debate club comes out, and they text me like, you know, because it's kind of similar to the model June Tin on the TV.
Yeah.
So they text me immediately like, oh my god, I've been waiting for this for so long. Glad that you guys did
I
it.
remember you saying it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I just replied in a polite way that you know, actually you have the resources, you have the energy to create it yourself.
True.
So please don't think that someone else will do it, but shift it to I can do this thing. Yeah.
True.
With that mindset, you can create something that unexpectedly brings some great values.
Yeah.
I have one thing to say, but this will violate the slippery slope fallacy. But you know, if you expect others to do it and others expect others to do it, no one will do it, right?
True.
Yeah. So my advice for you is to, you know, don't be afraid of failures. Just go out and try and craft the best team of people that you get and try the damn best that you can. And, you know, don't be afraid of failure. Just go out and do it. And, you know, by the end of the day, if one single person has changed for the better because of what you've done, it's all worth it. I believe that. Yeah. Yeah.
So there is a quote in a book I recently read. She said that, why do you keep waiting for a book that can change your life, and why do you waiting for someone that can change your life, and why is not that person is yourself? Like, why do you not change your life? Okay, so I think this point of view is really true. Like, you can really take your courage to do something for yourself, like start a blog, blog or something, like little, but it can help your like your personalities a lot. So I know that recently there are tons of projects created by youngsters, but some of them can really stand out, and some of the youngsters do it for like the real value. So how do you guys think is a good personal project that can bring real values to others?
Do you mean like local projects?
I think this question can be expressed by there are many projects that people made just for like building CV, you know, and other projects are from the heart. Yeah. So what do you think?
Okay. The reason why it was born does not matter much. For me, the only thing that matters is that they actually create change for the society. You know, because there are many projects that are born out just because they need it for their thesis, right? But like it turned out to be a really good project for the society, and in the tech world, there's been thousands of projects like that, and I'm sure that there are hundreds of social projects that are just like that. You know, it was born out because of necessity, and it's not because of, oh, I need to change the world. Oh, I need to do the shit. You know, and for me, the reason why I was born does not matter much because you can never paint a full picture of it. Yes, you may argue that the project was created because they need to boost their GPA or they need to put it in their CV, but as long as they're passionate about it and as long as that they created the change that they want to, I think it's okay. We really don't need to look at the reason why it was created. Yeah. What about you, Thuy?
My view is that regardless of the motive, I think the impact it creates on people is is important. But I do wish that the people who do that project is actually doing the thing that they like, they passionate about. So if the project comes from your heart, then the impact it spreads to people will be so much more powerful.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hieu, do you have anything to share?
Well, I think that an impactful project comes from your passion and the needs of the community. So the overlaps of these two things will create a really impactful project. So yes, just like he said, passions. If you do that project from the heart, so it would be this weapon. So another weapon for that project to spread out the impact is the needs of the community. If you're passionate about that, but the community does not need that, so if the project doesn't make sense. But in many situations, the beneficiary, that what I call in expert term, the beneficiary, which are the user of the project, most of the case they do not know what they need. So we have to provide them. We have to show them what they really need by our passions. So yeah, Uh, so yeah, so currently three of us here, Ha, Thuy, and myself, are doing a project called Yala on the Road for audience out there who want to join us because we did it from our heart. We did it because we saw that young people in Yalai province do not have any specific community to develop themselves, to to develop their personality, their skill set, their mindsets as well, their uh, their social entrepreneurships about doing anything for their community. So we created projects. So uh, audience who would like to check out our project, you can contact Thuy, the host of the projects, for more information. And yeah, that's my sharing.
Okay, this something I want to add is that there's one thing that I often do when I to find some motivation is that I find someone maybe I'm not really close to, but I find someone that is interesting and are really good at something I want to learn. I just text them and say I want to have a talk with you, like I want to learn more. And it's amazing to see what they can bring to you. Maybe just a small talk, and you can like broaden your mind a lot, and you can get lots of ideas from them.
Yeah, true. Like this person influences this person, and this person is influencing others.
Yeah.
Like the influence can be spreading around like that way through conversation and through actions.
We really, really appreciate your passions, no matter what your passion is. If it's really create social impact on the community that you are in, not even in Yalai, but in other province or even in the US, just tell us. We really appreciate your passions. So thank you very much for spending
Conversation.
this much time listening to us from the starting to the end.
No, and you know,
Yeah.
our guest speakers aren't necessarily someone who's expert or big. They just are interesting in their own ways and thinking, and that's why I believe that everyone has their own potential, and maybe you can be our guest in the near future. So
Yeah. I'm not even that interesting, and they invited me, so you know, the bar's pretty low. So don't be shy.
But you are our friend.
So you guys should remember this. We are nothing but normal people who want to share our opinions to the world, who want to share our positivity to the world, to encourage you to take part in to many activities to develop yourself. So yeah, don't worry, be
But
happy.
like the first purpose of me when I agree to join this podcast with Thuy is that I want to have someone every week to talk to because I'm so lonely in this quarantine. Like really, I just want someone to talk to me.
yeah, you know,
It really works.
like saying that 1,000 miles begins with a small step. Like it's just an idea that I feel
So
lonely.
true.
I want to talk to someone. Oh, create this podcast. Yeah, we have someone to talk to. Yeah,
True.
and then gradually people perceive it as something impactful. Yeah, who knows?
And
Yeah.
we
I
didn't
totally agree
expect
with
that
you.
on the first hand. Really, I really didn't expect like this podcast can really influences others so much. I just wanted to have someone to talk.
You're selfish.
Yeah.
Then
So
it turns out to be so impactful, and I feel like, oh my god, it's really, this is really amazing. Like our conversation can really have a good influence on others. just through small conversation.
And
It was really
Yeah.
amazing.
and you know what too? This is for people who are actively working on a project. And if you're feeling discouraged, please remember that people have benefited from your cause, and keep trying, and you will succeed. Okay? Yeah, that's my 2 cents for people
Yeah.
who are discouraged.
When you are trying
So
something.
I just want to say, okay. So I just want to say that there's many dots in your life, right? This dot and another dot. You cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dot by looking backward. So if you want to do the project and you do not know the outcomes of the project is, just do it. And when you complete the project and when you look back, you can see, oh, I have done so much that I could never imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
When
and
you are trying to do something, like the whole universe will help you to do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm sure
I've just heard that from
Hugh made a really good point.
Oh.
That's what I thought about myself, right? And I'm sure Thuy some point has had that thought too. Before we end, I would like to thank you for the Nghĩ Nói Đó podcast team for inviting me for such an interesting and aggravating conversation. And
Yeah, you're welcome.
you guys
Round of applause.
you guys have really changed. You guys have and will change the way that many people think, and I'm sure that through this conversation, people can actually think for themselves. People can actually have an individual thinking, and that's what I really want our generation to have, which is an independent thought. Like, we shouldn't rely on others to think for ourselves, but we should do it by ourselves. And I think that the United is doing a really good job at it, especially the first episode.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like I really respect you guys, and I wish you all the luck. And if there's anything that I can help you with, please ask me. There's a reason why I've been staying.
To sum up, we
To
have a scholarship advisor, Son Trung Võ. We have an IELTS speaking examiner, Nhu Thuy.
I can sign up for that too. I can help Thuy.
And Thuy, do you have anything to share with our audience before we come to an end?
Yeah, so I really appreciate every comments that the audience sent to us. If the podcast is useful in this way or the other way, and the podcast we give you today is a special one that we really put our hearts into it, and. Before this podcast happened, Son has been a bit sick, but he still continues to this point, which is amazing. And despite different time zones, we still managed to do it.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. As of this time recording, it's 2 a.m., but I stay up till 4, so doesn't make much difference.
Well, before we come to an end, I would like to send our great, huge thank to Trung Son for joining us in this special episode. And despite the time horizon, and also some sickness, I really appreciate your joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And I hope that this special episode can give you a small thing but impactful.
Oh my God, it has.
From little thing, big thing grows.
An action.
It has.
To change.
It actually brought me back into perspective, like how much I have achieved over the past 3 or 4 years. But also, it also, you know, reminds me that I haven't done enough for the society, and there's still a long road ahead of me. And I'm really glad that I'm able to share my experience with you guys.
So I just want to sum up like there's two things I want to say to the audience that from little thing, big thing grows. From small acts, you can do big thing. I have a teacher, actually a teacher in my current university, Fulbright. He once told me that dream big but act small. That's how we can help the society.
Yeah.
So dream big, act small, guys. From little thing, big thing grows.
And the following sentence is not in any shape, way, or form related to Fulbright in any capacity. But the reason why Hitler came into power because he befriended someone, and it kind of brought up, just the small act of befriending someone brought him to power. Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening to us until this, and we hope that we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.